Well, yes, Susan, it is so wonderful to be broadcasting to your center. What a lovely facility, and as you know, you've been following us all summer. Yes, it was an amazing expedition, and there's a lot of backstories, because at the time that I found the Titanic, I was not allowed to actually tell the whole story. And that's because I was actually conducting a military operation. I was a naval officer in naval intelligence. I served in the Navy for 30 years. So I saw an opportunity, and I said, well, why don't we use a search for the Titanic as a cover story to actually do our military operations? And they thought it was a great idea. I must say they were rather upset when I found the Titanic, ironically, because they felt it would draw a lot of attention to the secret missions. But it did. It drew a lot of attention to the Titanic. So in fact, when we left the Azores in August of 1975, instead of heading west towards the Titanic, east-west, we encountered the debris field. And we knew immediately to head north. And we followed that debris field. It got bigger and bigger until finally we went over. The signature target of the Titanic was the boiler. We had a picture of the boiler in our command center. And when we saw that, we knew this was the wreckage of the Titanic. And then a day or so later, we actually found the bow itself. So that was an amazing moment when we found it, September 1st, at 2 in the morning. And I remember naturally the reaction you had on the wall of the command center and said, she sinks in 20 minutes, because it was 1 in the morning and she sank at 1:20. And that innocent comment embarrassed us because we were celebrating. We shouldn't be celebrating. We were above an underwater grave. And so the mood changed dramatically inside the command center. And for the final 4 days, a very somber mapping and investigation of the ship. So it went from amazing joy to sadness in just a fraction of a second. And then the rest is history after that.
Do you think the wreck will eventually disappear? And if yes, in approximately how many years?
Well, that's a good question. It depends upon a lot of factors. Number one, it's presently in a world of eternal darkness. Sunlight can commonly cause degradation of human history, so that's not an issue. It's in freezing cold water, so it's like it's in deep freeze. And also it's under great pressure. And it's an area of very slow sedimentation rate, so it's not going to be buried by sediments. So it should last for a long, long time, particularly since the bow went into the bottom very deep. Because the bow went into the bottom, it's now being held together by the bottom. And the bottom sediments are deep-sea muds that are anoxic, so there's no oxygen.
I'd like to know that as an undersea explorer, what has been the most interesting item you have found, and where are you allowed to keep it?
Well, that's a fascinating question, because that implies human history as opposed to natural history. So I'm going to give you two answers. I'm going to give you the answer, what's the most impressive thing I've ever found under the ocean and discovered. Remember, the Titanic was not a discovery. We knew it existed. The Bismarck, we knew it existed. All the shipwrecks of the contemporary history, we knew they existed. But I have found some shipwrecks we didn't know existed. And one of the most fascinating ones was in the Black Sea. And there you have no oxygen. There you don't have wood pores to eat the wooden members. When I first found ancient shipwrecks in the Mediterranean, only the inedible parts of the ship, the pile of cargo and amphora, were still there. The hull itself had been eaten by wood pores. But in the Black Sea, there's no oxygen, there's no wood pores. The ships are perfectly preserved. And I would say there were two ships, one off Skirky, the coast of the city of Skirky, not Skirky, the city of Sinope, which is on central Turkey, on the northern coast of Turkey, the southern coast of the Black Sea. We found a ship from the Byzantine period, perfectly preserved, mast up, still had rigging on the sail, on the mast. But that was eclipsed a few years later off of Ereğli, which is a ship, a city closer to the Bosphorus, where we found a classical shipwreck from 500 BC that still had human remains. That was really a lost chapter of human history. From that human remains, you can get the DNA. So that was a pretty historical discovery. But for discoveries in general, the greatest discovery of all was our 1977 discovery of hydrothermal vents and the exotic life forms. And we're going to be diving on those tomorrow over the next several weeks. So come back to the Exploration Center in Belfast over the next week, and you're going to see some amazing live exploration of the hydrothermal vents off the Juan de Fuca Ridge, black smokers and tube worms. So don't miss coming back to Titanic Belfast over the next week, because that's going to be quite a series of expeditions.
That is going to be really, really interesting. But would you mind telling our audience just why hydrothermal vents are so important and so exciting?
Well, the reason is when I went to school and did my biology class, I was told that all life on our planet was due to the sun. That was the driving engine of life on planet Earth. That photons from the sun traveling at the speed of light come into our atmosphere, and those bundles.
I think that's a compliment.
Well, yeah, the real Captain, had a sort of a dark side to him. I hope I don't have that dark side that he had.
Definitely not.
A question from Vanessa from England is, what is the most moving sight you have come across in the Titanic debris field?
Oh, no doubt about it, the shoes. I mean, that stopped me in my tracks when I came across the pairs of shoes. Because that was the signature, that's the tombstone of humans in the deep sea, because the animals will eat the flesh quickly. That goes fast. And then, because we're so deep, it's below what's called the calcium carbonate compensation depth, which is a fancy term for saying bones dissolve. Because the waters of the deep sea is undersaturated in calcium carbonate. So bones all disappear. About 7 years, they're gone. Humans' flesh disappears in days. Bones in about 7 years. So all that's left is what they don't eat or what doesn't dissolve, and that's the shoes. Because they're treated with tannic acid. They're leather. No one eats leather. So all around the wreckage of the Titanic are pairs of shoes, and the most moving one was a pair of mother's shoes next to her daughter's shoes with a mirror and comb. That took me out. That was powerful.
That's one of the most moving images, and it's one that we actually have on the interactives here on the last floor as well. So anyone who's interested can have a little look at the interaction.
And look, and you'll see a lot in that picture.
It is. It's a tearjerker. A tearjerker.
So Jason from Belfast would like to know how you passed the time on a 6-month expedition.
Oh, well, I don't go out for 6 months to begin with. I go out, I'm given an allowance by my wife of 5 weeks, but if I take my children, which I do, Emily Rose with a button nose, who loved Ireland and loved Northern Ireland. By the way, Susan, she asked for her graduation gift when she graduates this coming June to come and see you. So she's coming.
Excellent. I look forward to seeing her. And I believe
So
today or
get
yesterday
ready
was
for
her first
Emily
day of
Rose.
school.
Well, she was out with me for a month, and she wants to go 2 months, but she wants to go to Ireland first. And Northern Ireland. So she's on her way. But anyway, generally, you have to understand with today's technology, the Nautilus actually thinks it's in this building that I'm in. All the phones are university phones. It has hi-fi. It has a jacuzzi. It's got a nice wine cellar. It's got a great place. We don't do that when we're on watch. But I love going out to get away from all the stuff on land. And but yet I can do everything that I want to do. I get a lot more done at sea because I can sit down and spend the whole day working. And then I have in my cabin just the same thing you guys have of the quad display. So if something happens, I'm out of there and I can run up to the command center and get in the fray. but if it's nothing's happening, I can just listen, and don't feel sorry for me. I mean, let's put it that way.
And the Air Space Centre is very, very impressive. They have screens not much smaller than this, but they have them one stacked on top of the other.
Yeah, and we have 3 ships coming in now. The Endeavour, the ship here at the university, is also leaving. It's about, I think it's going to leave today or tomorrow, and look at a German U-boat. So you might want to check that one out during the course of the time that they're at sea as well. So there's a lot of things going on in the Inner Space Center, and more ship are hooking in.
Excellent, excellent. We look forward to it. So Anastasia from Northern Ireland / USA, which may be a little confused, she would like to know what the most notable upgrades or improvements have been made to submersibles since Alban up until today.
Been away from using submersibles. I think the big push now is to get away from submersibles because they're primitive by comparison to what we can do right now. First place, you spend your whole time going up and down during the day. To go, and I've done it, I did it for 20 years, so this is that I haven't done it. But when I went down to 20,000 feet, for example, 6,000 meters in the Trieste, in the Cayman Trough, it was 6 hours to get to work in the morning, and I spent my whole day going up and down, and minutes on the bottom. What's wonderful about the ROVs is 24/7. We don't stop. And everyone can participate. So I'd say the big move is not so much in improvements to the submarine. You can't do much about the coefficient of drag. That's a law of nature that you can only sink so fast and rise so fast. So the big push has been mostly in remotely operated vehicles, and now into what are called autonomous vehicles, or AUVs or UUVs. And these are the underwater drones and robots that fly independently and then come and tell you what they found. So the big push is we're looking at adding an AUV, UUV to our repertoire of tools to augment what we do with the Hercules and Argus. And those UUVs and AUVs can then come and plug in to our vehicles down below, send all their data, get new power, and take off. So they don't have to come up either. So.
Another question that's come in from Twitter is, how often do searches for wrecks produce nothing?
How often does our exploration produce nothing? It never produces nothing. It tells us what's there, and if nothing's there, nothing's there. I mean, we're going where we've never been. So we don't find nothing awful. It's never nothing. There's always something there. And we learn. We go to where we think there's nothing, we find something. I mean, it's common for us to go, you can't go where you think everything is, because then you're just proving that what you think is there. You want to go where you think there's nothing and there's something. And that has happened when we were diving off of Grenada, where we thought there was going to be just a landslide with a bunch of mud and boring, and we found a whole new ecosystem driven off of methane being squeezed out by the atom. No one knew that. If we'd never gone to what we thought was boring, we would have never made that discovery. So it's fine in research to go down a dead end, because then that tells you a lot.
It's a bit like when you're doing postgraduate research, and just because it doesn't work doesn't mean your results are useless. It just means it doesn't work. Look at it a different way.
When I went after the Bismarck, I didn't find it. I knew where it wasn't. That was a lot. Got it. Certainly help me the next time.
Excellent. And I know you're very pushed for time this afternoon because you have another appointment. So
I am. There's a few other people that are interested in today.
I would say there are, but we really appreciate it.
The phone is ringing off the wall.
Well, we're going to let you get on, and we're going to say thank you very, very much for joining us this afternoon. Apologies for the slight technical difficulties earlier, but we got there in the end, and we really appreciated you joining us today, Dr. Ballard. Ladies and gentlemen, can I ask you to give Dr. Ballard a round of applause?
See you next time.
Thanks very much. Bye-bye.